Welcome to Thursday night. I was definitely saying welcome to Thursday night. So
You were.
I was looking
Happy
at Thursday
Thanksgiving,
thing. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I'm Ken Meringolo on behalf of First Amendment Sports. Welcome to Tuesday night. I was going between thank God and Tuesday. So, anyways, he's Tim Strachan.
All I know is I got to thank Kevin for the manual release. That was great. And let's
Totally
talk
changed
about
my
some
opening.
great stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's Kevin Ricca.
So you have to climb under. T has to look that way. You have to be very careful. And then you can extract T from the vehicle.
I made him so
There
nervous.
was a lot of lubricant involved. That's all I
Zero.
know.
Zero.
It's
I think that
getting
might
me
be
out of the
issue.
car. My lockdown wouldn't let me go.
That's not helping things, T.
I know.
Don't you ever let go. All right, so we got a couple things to talk about tonight. We're going to do Super Bowl stuff, a lot of Super Bowl stuff. That's the plan.
Oh yeah.
That was the plan. That who knows if that's and ends up what's happening. Scotty A, EO,
We have
Rhett.
plans?
I mean, you always got to have a
You
plan.
didn't send out the text today with the plan.
I think people like us, they always say
Did you have a long day?
plan's
I had a
great
long
until
day.
you get punched in the face. I think our plan is always to get punched in the face. I think that's our plan. We don't have an idea what we want to do, but we know the punch is coming, and so we're just planning for that at this point, anyways, on a daily basis. Manner of speaking to all our friends across the pond, Nasta, and to all the folks tuning in from around Commanders Nation, please subscribe. It's free. It's a little click there. If you hear anything or see anything you like, throw a thumbs up. We collect all those thumbs, and we send them to Rhett. I don't know what he does with them. No one wants to. In fact, I don't want to know.
You got a whole new interface there. It's all different. I can actually almost see the board now.
Yeah, you can. It's coming up here. We
Yeah.
have stuff going on. I mean,
Dude, that looks official.
There's a lot. I mean, it's.
I wish you guys could see it from this angle.
If I'd say it'd be better if they could be here in November of 2015. Let's assume that this looks a lot different than that. In November of 2015, there was a poker table days, if I'm not mistaken. Can you pass me a little bit of the?
Yes. The sauce?
There was a poker table involved, and no video, no camera.
A lot of tape.
We were not a lot of tape, a lot of tarps.
Felt. There was a lot of worn down felt.
Yep.
Yes.
I like to say CYO mics. They were great.
Yeah.
I love them, but that's how you got
The old school.
the daily announcement for
Yeah.
grade school in the 80s.
Anyways.
the little ones that sat on the table.
Prayers for Kevin Ricca for
Yes.
manually doing whatever he did to Mr. Strachan earlier.
And we didn't know how to work that stuff either. Just for the record, it was literally
Not at that age. No.
that age. No.
Yeah, T taught us. He was very mature for his age.
All right, so we did, in fact, hire a head coach. Thankfully, the head coach was one of the two people we talked about last week, which is Dan Quinn. In case you haven't heard, spoiler alert, Dan Quinn's our head coach.
DQ.
So we got that to talk about. I think that there's a little bit going on in terms of is Ben Johnson really a dick? I mean, we touched on that a little bit last week. The story isn't getting better for him. The story isn't getting better for him. I think he's probably going to get.
I think he's kind of a Johnson. If you ask me.
Yes.
I don't think he was ready.
Well, he's
I know, but-
clearly wasn't ready.
Yeah, but then he mouthed off. You can't be mouthing off if
Nope.
you're gonna not ready and be
All
a
right,
dick.
see, I don't pay attention to that stuff. What
Oh
did he
no,
say?
no,
What'd he do?
you're not gonna like it.
What did he say?
It's not good. I mean, it's not helping him for his future endeavors
Yeah, he was
outside
like,
of
those
Detroit.
guys, they were a bunch of basketball guys, anyways.
Because all those NBA championships Adam Peters has won. But he ain't our coach. Dan Quinn is. By the way, Mike McDonald, who I think, by the way, everyone who tells you they know who he actually wanted and who he tried to get and who he didn't get and blah, blah, blah. It's like draft day, right? Like whoever falls to you, your guys are going to be like, oh my gosh, man, it fell exactly the way we hoped. The one we wanted the most just fell right into our lap. It couldn't have gone better. So that's what you're going to get from our side. And of course, from everyone else, they're going to say, you wanted Mike McDonald. The thing about Mike McDonald, and I loved him and would have been happy to have him as a coach, but having a first-year GM, the youngest head coach in the league, and possibly, and a brand new owner. I don't think that's like exactly the recipe for success. I think getting right into Dan Quinn, he brings experience first and foremost. He's an experienced leader. So I like to start there. He is our head coach. He's the leader. He's setting the tone. He's doing press conferences. But immediately what I think of is, all right, hey, listen, we got a lot of fresh paint in this organization. He's been around for a couple decades, and that's worth a lot at this point of where we are in our rebuild. And we're saying rebuild, by the way. Anyone?
We don't have to say it.
He's not saying it.
I know. No, well, I hate.
He's calling it recalibration.
It's a thing. I know. The Wizards have been
Here's the deal.
recalibrating for 30 years.
So I was talking to my Ravens friend today, and he asked me how I felt about Dan Quinn. And I said, look, at first I never hated it. I was never down on it, but it was just, I guess I wasn't really excited about it because it felt like we kind of got a third or fourth guy, as you were alluding to. But
there was that feeling.
And I didn't listen to the press conference, but the more I've thought about it, the more I've read about it, I'm glad we have a guy who's seasoned, who's been there, messed up, made mistakes, has said, I made mistakes, but he's learned from it. He's apparently had this plan. If he ever gets the chance again, what is he going to do? How's he going to attack it? That's great. I think it puts us in a great position.
You got to watch it.
Absolutely. Why?
Oh, trust me. You can read all about it all you like. That man's commanding presence is out. It's unreal.
Oh, I get you.
It's nuts. The dude is electric.
I think this
I'm not
is
saying
going
we're going to win.
This is going to win. This is going to work in our favor, I think.
Well, the presser was an A+, so I'm sorry, but anybody who spent their life around football, like the majority, like we have, I've been in the locker room since I was born. My dad's coached since day one. This is, dude. This guy, he's not going to get all the votes from the Grant Paulsons and the Danny Rouilles, who I cannot listen to their voices for one more second. Can't do it.
Shouldn't.
The lack of all of us understanding what goes into all of us just goes to a certain level. Theirs is beyond capacity.
Yep.
But what he did in that presser yesterday made me understand why everyone speaks about him so highly, why his former coworkers, every player that ever played for him, the guy is beloved across football circles, and there's a reason why. He lives, eats, and breathes it in this energetic fashion that anyone that thinks he's anywhere similar to Ron Rivera is out of their effing mind. I can't listen to that count for one more minute. It's the most unknowledgeable, lazy, just ridiculous thing. Listen, if Ron Rivera winds up in Dallas, the comps will go on forever. I don't care. These are two absolute polar opposite human beings. He showed more excitement in the first 2 minutes yesterday than Ron has in 4 years. And I don't hate Ron. Yep. I'm just talking about that type of energy you need to bring every day times a million is what he's got. And that's going to be part of this change, this culture change that Doug Williams suggested hasn't occurred yet. And I don't think I disagree with him.
The thing about Dan Quinn, he was on the same interview schedule. We'd interviewed him once. We were interviewing him again. We were going through the motions with this guy. It was clearly somebody that was on their radar, and he's the perfect retread of all the. We always say like I just don't want to be the team that goes retread in head coaching, and someone always does. Multiple organizations usually do every year, but he's the perfect kind of retread. He had a shot. He took a team to the Super Bowl, but he was a hot commodity coordinator first from Seattle. He had an all-time legendary defense there. I think we'll talk a little about it. I would be surprised if people here weren't able to spout some of the numbers, but his defense in Dallas, as much as we don't want to say it was pretty freaking good.
Average top 5.
Yeah,
all 3 years.
Yep.
Badass.
So, and we needed somebody who was going to come in and be someone who could set the tone. He's definitely showed the most fire, and when people were like a little bit of a boner killer that we didn't get some like up and coming hot coordinator head coach, which is an awesome thing.
We created all that.
Yeah, of course, but that's a thing. I mean, it's
a trend. It's a real trend.
Yeah, I've fallen prey to it. I mean, Sean McVay. Of course, we didn't get him.
Of course.
But anyways,
because in 2013, half those sons of bitches were in Landover. Jesus.
Yep, but I think the thing about it always was that we have hot young coordinators now. I mean, we're a hot young coordinator team. I mean, both of our coordinators are hot and young.
I knew Cliff with the K was really going to chub those khakis up a tad bit.
It's 6 to midnight.
You went from a 30-something to a 30-something with 2+ inches.
Let's talk about Joe Witt first. I need to calm it down. Calm it down.
It's breaths every 7 seconds.
Yes.
And think about baseball.
Think about baseball. Didn't hurt grandma's baseball.
Margaret Thatcher on a cold day.
Joe Witt Jr. It's a little anticlimactic, right? You know, we hired Dan Quinn. Everyone's like, okay, well, he's obviously bringing Joe Witt Jr. I don't know why everyone knew that, but everyone did, and he did.
Well, it's weird because Joe Witt Jr. has said one of his 2 lifelong bucket lists. One of the 2 things is to be the defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys, which he sure as hell was going to have a damn good shot at had he stuck around North Texas. But
yep. And with Micah Parsons?
No, the gravitational force of Dan Quinn is a tremendous factor.
It's because it's coach
Cliff
under Dan Quinn
was magnetized out of Las Vegas, which is impossible to do to a guy like Cliff Kingsbury. I'm sorry.
He's doing the
If you get him
magnetizing.
to walk out of Las Vegas.
What did the Raiders
into PG
do?
County.
God, they blew it so badly.
2 years on the deal, and the egos got involved, and then here's what happened.
MGM's right.
Then all of a sudden, no, sir.
Davis
sir,
is not a helpful
sir.
ingredient.
I know that we're all better at putting lipstick on the pig down here, but that's a big old turd that doesn't need no polishing.
You know, there's nowhere else Cliff wanted to be. I mean, if you're like, awesome, a hot shot coordinator for the Vegas Raiders. I mean, let's be honest, that is the dream for an
Doesn't he
offensive
have
guy.
like a Polish model girlfriend,
Victoria.
influencer?
Yeah.
She's,
Veronica, sorry.
whatever it is. Like, I'm sure she's like.
I respect her as a
so
human.
tell me
as
about
an artist.
Tell me about Raul John
Yeah.
Cliff with a K, because I knew you were going to get all excited about
Well,
that.
we're still talking about Joe Witt.
Sorry.
Take it easy.
Joe Witt. All right, here's the deal. I love Joe Witt because I never knew who he was until about 5 minutes ago, 2 days ago. And then all of a sudden you read about an NFL lifer. These are the type of guys that, you know, and when he says, I've had my eye on this guy, and he came back with him after they both left Atlanta, he stuck it out and then went with him right to Dallas. And obviously these guys are 2 peas in a pod, but it seems like our new head coach is best friends with everybody.
He is.
But it also seems with Witt specifically, it's almost like Quinn is picking his younger doppelganger. Like, you know, like
And for a reason.
Yeah. I
He
mean,
said
he's learned it from Quinn. So the guy he's going to trust most with handing the defense over is the guy that's been studying
Right.
what he's been doing for the last 6 years.
And he trusts him, and he said all that. But he also said at the very end of the day, he's got to learn all of Cliff Kingsbury's offensive terminology. He's got to go in there and learn as a scientist. He's got to go in there as a student. And yes, he's the head guy, but he's got to go in there and figure all this shit out. He says it's going to help him. It's going to help this team advance quicker, knowing the terms that he can speak the language with the new D coordinator.
He's running. You come in, you're a head coach in this league. You have a 1,000-hour-a-week job. It's unreasonable. We didn't want to hire a coordinator to be our coach. We didn't want our head coach to be the coordinator. I think that's also been made clear. We wanted the head coach, his job in this part of our rebuild under Josh Harris and Adam Peters is to be the man in charge, you know, to set the tone and bring the fire that he's bringing. And the cool thing about Joe Witt is it's like we get Dan Quinn as a defensive coordinator also.
Yep. And he's going to have, like he said, his fingerprints all over. And I love how he talked about the essence of being a head coach. He said the essence of a head coach is all three, and he went on and on and on. But let's all be honest. He has been working on the essence of the defensive shit forever with Joe Witt.
Right.
And they've gotten to a point where they feel really comfortable with each other and adjusting
absolutely.
and everything. And that's brilliant for us. That's so good. And I love how he talked about our 2 D tackles. I don't think anyone's going anywhere. He talked about them over and over again.
Strength of the
And
middle.
that I hate to say it, but that Cowboys defensive backfield was pretty legit for the last few years.
Oh, no. Hell yeah, they were. There's no doubt.
But the thing about it is, like, Bland had obviously a sick year, right, with all the TDs. But it's not like he came into the league as, you know, Sauce Gardner. It's not like he came into the league as Dion. I mean, that defense and Joe Witt was the passing game coordinator. I mean, and it's a passing league, so he gets to be the only thing we don't have. Obviously, one of the only things, the main thing we don't have, obviously, is Micah Parsons. But Joe Witt can basically put that exact same defense in place for our guys. And let's talk about the
We
impact.
don't have Parsons yet. Didn't Parsons say when he quoted?
He's not going anywhere.
I'm going wherever he goes.
No, he just said, I might go with him. He was just he was being playful.
I know.
But we'll see.
Okay, well,
He did
so
say it.
sidebar to Michael Parsons. So he has one more
Goes
year in
to
his
your point that
rookie
everybody
contract.
loves him.
He's not going anywhere next year. They have him for peanuts for his last year. They'll probably fifth year him, and then franchise him. Those are his options. But interesting thing about Dallas, and the only reason why I have hope that Michael Parsons could be a defensive guy who becomes available. Khalil Mack has become available. Other top defensive players have come available in the course of their career. Dak Prescott, his contract has a trigger in it in the next, sometime between now and the middle of March or something along those lines, where his salary cap hit for next season automatically, contractually goes to like 59 point whatever million, it's like $60 million of salary cap hit, regardless of his salary. They put that on the books, and they wrote it to essentially force a restructure of the contract, like a redo this offseason. And he was an MVP candidate, and they've been, they either have to have a 60 million plus cap hit for him this year, or they have to restructure and re-sign him essentially now. And that market value for him, that's like 50 million. I mean, they're going to save 10 to 15 million dollars on salary cap at the most on the average of his next contract. And they have CeeDee Lamb, and they have the lineman, the tackle, and they have some of these corners.
And we just stole their two best defensive coaches.
Yeah. So on
our side,
they're gonna have to make some calls. And I think, typically speaking, the generational pass rusher, you do whatever you can to keep him. But hey,
well, there's gonna be a lot of calls made. I think yesterday, I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but there was a cool interview down on Radio Row with Thomas Dimitroff, who was the GM for 6 years with Dan Quinn. I don't know what happened. I'm not sure how it ended. It didn't end great for everybody, but you would have thought this guy was talking about his brother. And he said the one thing, and we all heard this from everyone, but he said it in spades. He talked about going to Cuba with Arthur Blank and Dan Quinn, and him getting into a sparring match with a Cuban champion middleweight. He goes, we're just sitting there smoking cigars, drinking rum. Next thing you know, he's boxing this guy. Super tough guy, but he never puts it on. You wouldn't think. He doesn't act like it. He's such a kind-hearted dude. But I'll tell you what happened that night. Way too many cigars and way too much rum. And he said, but here's the deal. I'd have agents and players coming to me saying, Thomas, if you cut us, my whole career, we're going to F you up in the social media and we'll show everyone about. He goes, in Atlanta, I had guys coming to me and said, Thomas, if you cut me, I'll come back at whatever the hell you want. We want to be here. We want to be here. He said it's not because he's a player's coach. He says, guys, he doesn't coddle or just, he's not letting players get away. He tells the truth. He tells players the truth. They know what they need to do for him. This is going to be different. There's a reason why Joe Witt spurned his dream. There's a reason why Cliff Kingsbury spurned Las Vegas. He was set in place with Antonio Pierce, ready to rock and roll and do his own thing out west. There's a reason why he is selling this franchise now. And that's a big freaking deal, I think. So as the leader, we'll find out how his game management goes. We'll all be able to execute all of the negativity when football starts. Yep. But as a leader of a franchise that, yes, Ron Rivera got us to respectability. He did that. And I appreciate how he left the cupboard.
As an organization.
As an organization. Not as a football team.
Right? No, but that's right.
I know.
A place where people who do this for a job, who's put their lives on the line for 17 weeks a season, they were willing to do it for him and not just for Dan Snyder's dollars. And that was a difference in our experience.
And all I wanted to say was this. The last 2 months, we heard Ron Rivera say over and over again, the best part of my stint here was the last 2 months getting to coach. And what do we hear in the press conference? We heard Dan Quinn say, if I could do it all over again, the one thing I would do is not spread myself so thin with other things. You got to keep the main thing, he said multiple times. And I think what Ron Rivera did not learn and what Dan Quinn has learned are two separate things, or two separate men, two separate dynamic personalities. Well, one is, one's not. Other than that, I'm not kicking him on the way out. I think he's a good man. He got us to respectability. It's time for this guy to come in and finish the job. And I think he showed yesterday that he's the guy to do it right now. 5 years from now, we'll see. We'll see at the end of this game.
And Rivera's career is not over in this league. But if he wants to coach again, he will.
In Dallas. I don't give a shit.
He didn't ruin his legacy.
He's a good man.
He didn't ruin his
legacy
here.
No.
He didn't tarnish his name.
We like to say he didn't taint his legacy down here,
legacy.
which creeps me out, but I still like to say it.
Cliff Kingsbury.
Imagine the action of just a legacy getting tainted. It makes your brain
No
run
taint.
wild.
There's no taint.
No.
It's like some terrible dude just tainting all over your legacy. It's
Newest
horrible.
offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury.
Sorry.
Getting everyone excited, obviously. Him
I
and
was getting a little
Veronica.
tainty. You're right.
You were.
Keep it moving.
There's plenty of time for that. We have. I mean,
fair. That's fair.
it's early on. We don't want to get all the taint in the beginning of the show, unless. Okay. Cliff
I
Kingsbury.
didn't do anything.
Here, there's one aspect of the Kingsbury hiring that I was thinking about, and I think that's been mentioned in a couple other spots. And tell me if you've already heard it. He interviewed with the Bears multiple times.
Bears.
Now, I don't know that he was there, how that did or didn't work out, but my guess is that when he met with the Bears, they had conversations about what offense he wanted to run vis-a-vis Justin Fields or vis-a-vis Caleb Williams. So he has potentially at least a tiny bit of insight into what Chicago is thinking.
They're thinking.
And I think that is worth something. Now, that's not worth hiring the guy. And I wanted to start there because I was interested in the fact that we hired the guy, and I like him for a lot of other reasons. But so much of the next 2 months of our lives are going to be dominated by a single conversation. And it's all about Caleb Williams, and it's all the various gymnastics that it could take to get him, and blah, 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 blah. And we're here for it. But
I'm willing to pommel horse myself for 2 days to acquire Caleb Williams.
We're going to go through every possible manual release scenario.
What does that even mean? Pommel horse.
You don't know what a pommel horse?
I will pommel horse just the legs. It's an amazing rhythmic scissoring.
Yes, there's a lot of rhythmic scissoring.
That's how I would describe the pommel horse.
Scissor me timbers.
Yes.
The fact that he might have it
Rhythmically. Good thing we got up the whole taint subject. Good God.
Well,
Because this is directly taint related to pommel horse.
We're moving up.
It's a mauling of the taint. The line of scrimmage is totally infracted. Sorry.
We got a thumbs up for that, I think.
All right.
If I'm not mistaken. So, anyways, maybe he knows a little something about what they're thinking after interviewing them. I think that could prove meaningful in what we do in the next however many seconds until the draft, which is how we'll be obsessing about it.
Something tells me Justin Fields would not fit Cliff Kingsbury's scheme.
I believe you're right, sir. And now, listen, this air raid offense also has a nice run staple, but and it does enjoy an athletic running back. But now I just don't see if you're starting anew, you don't just get Chicago's guy that you just talk to while they get the guy that you coached in college last year.
Yeah.
But I agree.
Kingsbury did the whole meteoric rise to power in Arizona, basically strong-armed an organization, if you want to say it that way. But they had just drafted Josh Rosen in the first round the prior year. He took the job ostensibly with the intent to draft Kyler Murray at number 1 overall, which they did. And so that's a big deal, drafting two first round overall quarterbacks.
And the
like
big
that.
deal was getting hired after getting fired from his 35 and 40 gig at Texas Tech.
Yes,
how he was the offensive coordinator at USC for like 11 days. And then all of a sudden he was like, you know what? I think I might be getting an NFL job.
Yeah.
They're really hiring all these handsome new young guys. McVay really plowed the way for us.
It's really working out for these guys.
Damn right it is.
So he did he's a retread, obviously, but not in the sense of, not in a head coach sense for us. He gets walked out the door in Arizona, however you want to say that happened, and then gets a one-way ticket to Thailand, right? And the guy is just chilling.
Straight Bangkok.
One-way ticket to Bangkok, and which I just thought was a badass move. I think he tweeted the ticket out even. He was like, all right, I'm out. And it was one way. I mean, the guy was...
It makes the heart grow humble, Ken.
Yes. So I love that a lot. And then he comes back.
It's creepy.
Then he's just...
One night in Bangkok.
Chilling at USC.
My morning hair stands up on your neck on that one, but
if you're a hot young
boat, man.
prospect like our boy Cliff Clavin is, and then he's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go. I don't want to take the official responsibility of any real coaching title, but I really want to be hanging out at USC around the clock. So I'm just gonna be an assistant or advisor or
Bangkok
consultant.
bores me. Southern California sounds fine.
USC campus sounds amazing this time of year. It's really lovely in the spring. So that's another check. You made a strong move in that regard. And getting him to come here, you get the benefit of being a former head coach who's developed his offense and, again, experience. Interestingly, and I'll drop it off there to one of you guys to take for the offense Cliff Kingsbury runs is Air Rady and Sam Howell's played in that offense.
So is Drake May.
Yeah. So is Caleb Williams.
Yes.
So, or, to his
well, what I love about it is Dan Quinn said, this reminds me exactly of Kyle Shanahan. When I hired Kyle, he's the guy that stretched the field. He used every inch of it. And his multiplicity was tremendous, and that's it. That guy was a pain in the ass to go up against. That's why I hired Cliff Kingsbury.
Smart.
Dude, you always think about
against the guy that gave you the hardest chance to defeat him. And I saw an article where it says Kingsbury's 2-0 against Quinn as at the helm of the defense.
Right. Well, I like it. And here's the deal. You're down at the park growing up playing pickup. You got first pick. Who are you going to pick? Not the dude that's going to gun it. You're going to pick the dude that checked your ass the hardest the night before. Get him on your team. Let's have some fun and win.
Winning would be super fun. I like the idea of we get kind of bootlegging into the hot young coordinator world with two actual hot young coordinators. So, whereas we didn't go with the futures contract at the coaching level and give a guy like Mike McDonald 6 years, which, if let's be honest, Seattle had to give him his money times 6 to keep him from coming here. And that's a great move for Mike McDonald and his family. That's a hell of a lot of money that's guaranteed.
And the inside, I also heard on this Thomas Dimitroff thing, it was 2 Dallas Cowboys, a local Cowboy station that brought him in. They're broken. Not just about Dan Quinn. They obviously knew he was going somewhere, and they were convinced he was going to Seattle. Convinced. They didn't see this one coming down in Dallas. They did not think Joe Witt was going to.
They're reading our papers.
They thought they'd be keeping Joe Witt. They were beside themselves and mostly broken up about Dan Quinn going here, not to Seattle. They thought Seattle. Dimitroff jumps in and says, "I'm not too involved anymore, but one thing I do know, John Schneider's my boy." I called him. I'm like, "What's up, DQ?" Everyone thought that's where he got his start. This is how he rolls. This is DQ country. And they said his dynamic enthusiasm and his defense and everything about him is too similar to Pete Carroll. He said, John Schneider said, "Look, man, they just made me get rid of this legend, and then I can't bring in his I can't bring in the same dude. We got to switch it up a little bit. We got to go with the youth movement," and that's how we felt. That was part of our hiring process, and that opened it up for us to get Dan Quinn, and I think it just worked out. I think it's a better fit for us.
It's great.
In hindsight, only because of his press conference made us all a little more aware of the process.
Sure.
The way how honest and open he was about going through
and
all
then it
this.
was an actual legit process, and then we weren't locked in, and that Jerry Jones was listening to our radio stations apparently, and that they weren't. The fact that no one saw this coming isn't because it was a shock. It's if you erase the last 3 weeks of our lives in terms of what we read and heard, and you said the Redskins hired Dan Quinn to be their head coach, you'd be like, yeah, that sounds about right. He was a hot shot coordinator. He took a team to the Super Bowl. He's had a top 5 defense the last few years, of course. And what a coup to get a guy who is in division. This is an in division hire. You can spin it 2 ways. You can say I hate the fact that he came from Dallas, which always rings true. But you could also say we got a guy who knows the conference, knows the division extremely well, knows our mortal nemesis extremely well, and we stole him. We stole him.
Yeah.
We stole him.
The fact that Cowboys fans are pissed off that he's coming here, I mean, it says a lot in and of itself. So
he was never a head coach there.
2 talking heads. They know everything.
They know
we
everything.
know that.
Exactly.
But 2 talking heads, they knew he was leaving. They understood that he was
that
going.
Sucked.
Yes.
That he's going to be going up against them twice a year now, knowing how good he is. Yeah.
And Dimitroff was not helping him. He was like,
that's kicking the nuts.
This is not going to be good for you guys.
Yeah.
There's no more doormat. Sorry, guys. And they were like, well, thanks a lot for coming on. And he's
especially when McCarthy's on his way out eventually at some point, unless Jerry Jones can't find those pictures. There's
I don't know any Dallas fan.
Pictures.
There's got to be.
Will live through a Mike McCarthy extension. I mean, they can't believe he's still there right now. They were so.
I don't think McCarthy can understand why he's still there right now.
But Jerry Jones, if he signs you to 5 years, he's like, hey, you're going to work for me for 5 years. Jerry Jones is not paying a guy $10 million to do that. Like the NFL pays coaches, I think, as a whole, as a group, like over between $100 and $200 million a year.
Hence the reason
to not coach.
Hence the
Just
reason,
out of the league.
Hence the reason Cliff could go to Bangkok and hang out in Southern California for a little while.
All these coaches, when the day they get fired,
He wasn't motivated by the money.
no. And if you got Vrabel, he's not worried. He's getting paid still this year, I believe, from Tennessee, no matter what he does.
They did talk about Vrabel, and they said, why is he not mentioned? They want to know why he's not been mentioned as their new D coordinator, and they're saying that Vrabel, who's part of the Patriots paradigm, which I've never heard that quoted as.
I have not either.
Dimitrov is a Patriots. He's part of the Patriots. He's one of the Patriots paradigm. Said that Vrabel he wants all the control.
All the control.
He wants all the
And someone's
stuff.
going to give it to him.
I know.
Someone's going to give it to him.
He's going to have to wait for his.
I'm okay with him getting it. I mean, we just, we've been in that kind of relationship already. We're going in a different direction. That's not, we got hurt.
You said it.
And
I read about it today. The most refreshing thing is he has said, I'm going to hire people to do that stuff. I know my limits.
2 guys are calling the plays.
That's unbelievable.
Perfect. Let's go. You got your guys in there. It's all great. And he says, and I love
thank
it.
God we got Peters.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, when you rewatch it,
that guy.
I don't know who it's like Step Brother. I know that Dan Quinn is best friend. Everyone thinks that they're Dan Quinn's best friend because he has 9 billion of them. But him and Peters next. I thought they were going to start noogieing each other.
Yeah,
doing karate. It was honestly their dynamic was amazing. It really was amazing. You're like, all right.
Do they both own Chewbacca masks?
I'm telling you right now, Adam Peters is like the nicest. All he did was smile. Go,
yeah,
great.
I love
Quinn talked the
dynamic.
Salisbury, not the Ivy League guy, not the UCLA guy. The Salisbury guy talked 98% of the time. It was amazing, and he was brilliant.
I love the idea that can you pass me that?
Yes,
that juice.
It's flowing.
I like the old dynamic when Joe Gibbs would go in to Bobby Beathard's office, and Jack, and then of course they'd walk over to Jack Kent Cook's office next, and they'd say, "Hey, really want this guy, really need this guy, really want to keep this guy." And Jack Kent Cook / Bobby Beathard would be like, "All right, no, okay." His voice mattered
when you were there watching all this happen.
Well, I like that. I like the way that worked with Joe Gibbs. Yeah. I mean, if you're Jack Kent Cook was a smart man for doing whatever Joe Gibbs said. But Joe Gibbs didn't have that title, and ultimately he was a great one of the greatest of all time head coaches, as evidenced by 3 different quarterbacks winning the Super Bowl. But Bobby Beathard gets a lot of credit for building that Hogs offensive line. I think Dan Quinn and Adam Peters, for that matter, committing to strength up the middle, which we've been sold a million times by people who didn't actually do it. But I was raised strength up the middle.
He said it.
I know he said it. And Adam Peters said it. Ron Rivera said it. But Adam
They're
Peters...
They're going to do it. I believe these guys. Strength up the middle. I had faith in Rivera to do it.
Yes.
Because he said it right away off the
And he
jump.
was a linebacker for the freaking 85 Bears.
He did it on one side of the ball.
He did it on one layer of one side of the ball.
One layer.
He did not do what he said.
He didn't do what he said. It's safety, middle linebacker, defensive
told us
tackle,
those
center, quarterback, running back.
He said
right
middle
down the middle of
linebacker
the
and
field.
quarterback he was going to take care of first. And I don't know what happened middle linebacker style, but quarterback was a
Strength
struggle.
up the middle.
Anyways,
I'm down with it.
Let's go.
I think that is I think that's coming, and I think that's going to factor in these picks, and may potentially, and I want to queue up the post Super Bowl show next week as being our first real extended segment on the draft. And trading up. No. I don't want. We don't want to get into all the permutations and stuff with the Chicago Bears and all that kind of stuff.
I've got so many notes on permutations.
Yes,
here,
no permutations
Jesus.
tonight. A permutation-free show. We promised Rhett. But we had Vinny Serrato, we had Bruce Allen, we had Ron Rivera, and McLovin, and that kind of almost covers our personnel men for the last 20 years. And we can argue. You could argue who was the best at picking players, and that's also another terrible, terrible show. But the idea that these guys could be really good at picking players. Maybe this would be the first opportunity to do so. And I think if you want to argue for keeping all your picks, that would be the way. That would be the argument why. Because I think these guys can pick players, and so give them as many chances as possible. But that's only one side of the coin. With regard to Adam Peters specifically, and the dynamic between Dan Quinn and Adam Peters, there's a lot of confidence in Adam Peters' ability to pick players, and he's a smart guy. And since you brought him up, Eugene Shen is going to be aiding him on the number side. Thanks, T. So
he'll be heavily petting the numbers.
There's going to be a lot of manual releasing,
but that's fine, because let Eugene figure out the money that needs to be allocated to the style of play, which is the one thing that both those gentlemen talked about over and over again that I loved. They want guys that love the game, but they want physical, badass dudes. And I think that's what we're going to be targeting moving forward, specifically on the offensive line. I know they have to figure that out because they bragged about those 2 D tackles. But you know that this defense that Dan Quinn runs gets pressure with 4. Don't have to play cover 3 like it's in Seattle in the 20s.
That's right. No,
he said
LOB.
that. His words. That's fine. There'll be a bunch of mixing up in there, but 4 dudes rushing the passer means that we need a couple more pass rushers. Yep. Now, I know we got some dudes that can come off the edge and they're passing and a pass rush down, but I don't know if KJ Henry's ready for that. I'm thinking that
he's going to be asked to be that guy.
I know. No. All by himself is all I'm saying. I think he's going to do a great job at what we ask him to do. They're not going to ask a guy like that to do too much. He already talked about not putting too much on people's plates, letting them play fast and playing them and smart is what
Day one, first down on defense starter, KJ Henry next year at this point in time.
Yes.
I think you got to say yes.
You have to.
Yeah, you got to say yes.
Well, you have to.
Yeah, you have. Well, you have to.
You have to.
I
think he's a pretty decent pick, and could be a guy that could do it. But there's going to be they're going to need a lot more than just KJ. That ain't cutting it for what we're trying to do.
The shitty part about the offensive line, and also just to cue up another aspect to the draft, is like the current free agent crop. We might see some more guys come available, but the current free agent crop of tackles specifically is not great, and I think it's not very not great. I mean, it's poopy.
2 weeks ago, when you were like, "Let's do the whole," and I was like, I was looking at the list,
money.
I was like,
yeah, we have $1 billion to spend, and there's a dollar store down there, and we're shopping at the dollar store.
Every
like,
position we need has a turd at it. There's like one big turd. It's like, this guy should probably go to the Commanders because no one else would take his turd ass in years past. But yeah. That's
why I think it's a great opportunity, especially if you want to, depending on how you want to play the draft and free agency together. This would be a great opportunity to suck up some dead cap money. Use some of that space to just eat a contract or 2, and then that money comes available the following year when you might have a better class of free agent. Because
they're not letting 1 year of no offensive line occur. I think they
No. I'm just saying there's guys who we may like. Okay, so there's always a guy or 2 you keep because you're like, got to have 48 warm bodies and you got to spend money. But I think we might have a dude or 2 that, you could cut and not take use some of that space to eat it this year so that it becomes 100% available the following year. And then a bad player doesn't create dead cap. Again, I don't know. It's a accounting trick. But also it's also a fact that, we're not going to be able to, we're not taking our shopping cart of free agent money down the aisle of like a super high end store.
I believe though, the money spent, whether it's trade and I don't know, draft freaking capital, I don't know, but I know that they're going to do anything they can to get 5 guys lined up in front of whoever the hell it is. Because
I agree.
That's the only litmus test that any new staff would have to pass. If coming to DC, if Dan Quinn sat there and said, I grew up in Jersey, I understand the NFC East, I know who you fans are, and I know what you've dealt with for the last 30 years. He went to Salisbury, we know that. We know he understands what this conference is and what we have gone through. Him and Adam Peters know one goddamn thing. Go figure that fucking offensive line out first and foremost. Yes, the quarterback is the best, most important thing. But There's no possible chance.
Ain't worth shit if he doesn't have anybody in front of him.
Exactly. We cannot cut bait at that spot. We have got to do whatever we've got to do. And I know how they've talked about different play styles and getting the most out of different guys, and how Dan Quinn said, listen, a 5th-round draft choice in someone else's system might not work, but that might be a guy I'm looking for to do X, Y, or Z. Whatever the shit it is, those boys need to get their freaking heads together and do magic, because the only litmus test a new staff needs to pass coming in right here in the city of the Hogs with the Hog ownership group is figure that part out right away. Let us know that we know, that you know, that we all know, that everyone else is trying to kind of get through there. Kind of, hey, maybe we get one guy and Wiley. You know what? They're thanking God right now that Wiley is not blocking Joey Bosa in Sunday's game. Because I don't know who the hell is, but he should be shitting his pants too.
Yeah. It's gonna be great watching Trent. Of course, he's not.
I know.
I will be looking forward to that. All right, so let's talk about some. Let's talk about some Super Bowl props. So I'm gonna pull up my list. We're gonna go down the line. So okay, here's the deal. Every prop except for those we specifically delineate as such will be worth 1 point. Whichever one of the three of us gets the most points wins, and on next week's show gets to have a special potential benefit.
I think
advantage.
we get to go Griselda.
Get to go Griselda
On the other two.
I don't know. I'm gonna think
Go
on the fly.
Griselda.
Listen,
Yeah.
just
Bunch of whiskey, and the winner gets to make the other two do whatever the hell they want.
because you got manually released and I didn't doesn't mean you can just sit there and pretend. Like
why do you
mine
think
isn't
I'm so
terrible.
relaxed
You're
over here?
very relaxed right now, and it's killing me. All right, so
Why do you think I'm not wearing my ascot?
you're not. Rhett's got it around his face. Sorry. All right, so here we go. I don't know why I pulled that up. All right, so we have
Whoa. That was the
heads or tails.
that's
first.
hidden mode.
And this is what wins, not what they call. So heads or tails on the coin toss T.
Tails.
Kevin?
Tails.
Tails never fails. All right. We've just launched ourselves into a three-way tie.
That's a goocher.
All right. So what's that? That's a what?
That's goocher.
All right. So let's see. Here we go.
I put the whiskey directly behind my spine.
It's not gone.
Not yet.
Let's get
San
there.
Francisco -2.5. Kansas City +2.5.
Say that one more time.
Kansas City +2.5. San Francisco -2.5. By the way, I got him at -1.5. And it's going to move more.
Plus.
KC plus. All right. So, Kevin.
I am also taking Kansas City in the points.
All right. And I am taking, and this is going to be my first chance to lose to you guys. I am taking San Francisco -2.5. God, you know what? I have found in this postseason, and I don't consider myself like the world's greatest bettor by any stretch, but I have gotten beat by Kansas City on the regular for the last month, and I got to be honest with you. I don't know why I'm not learning my lesson, but I'm not.
We have. We've looked at your record.
Here
and
I am.
We knew you were going to go with San Francisco.
I'm watching myself not learn. It's great. It's one of the best shows.
I'm participating in a gambling activity, knowing full well that I'm terrible at all gambling activity.
47.5 over under. You go first.
You know, it's
Kevin.
super boring to do this on Super Bowl Sunday, but you know, in my old age, I don't mind. I'm taking that under piece.
Oh God, I'm going over.
47.5. Over for Ken, over for T, under for Kevin. All right. So how about this one? Passing Patrick Mahomes and Brock Purdy. So P. Mahomes, let's see. It is always tails, Greg. Always tails. By the way, if NES Tecmo is out there, I had a comment that I wanted to put on here that I wanted to understand. Washington needs to eat a salad and not just the pizza. I mean, I love the comment. I'm just looking for a little background from my man, my fellow Mustang.
They need a well-rounded meal.
They need a well-rounded meal. Okay, I'm down with that.
They can't be focused on just one part of the meal. You have to enjoy the entire thing. And Give equal weight to all of it.
262.5. Mahomes passing over under.
Say it again.
262.5.
Over.
Over for T.
I'm taking the under.
Under for Kev.
You're looking for a really boring game.
It's going to be a really good game.
See, I understand what you're saying.
Explosion or just a dog fight. And I'm going dog fight. I think it's going to be.
I think it's going to be a great game, and I never ever bet. I don't bet a lot of unders on player props because it's typically unfun, as you say. I pick the ones I want to bet the over.
I don't think I've ever said unfun, but
Your sweater vest said it for you. I'm gonna say.
Word. But then you burned them, motherfucker. That was fun. Watching you burn them to the ground was fun as hell.
You did. I know. Right before it said a lot of stuff. That's
two
live.
that had nostalgic, personal meaning to me, but they're like
Pat Mahomes is
away.
over. God darn it. All right, Brock Purdy, 246.5. That's a straight over for me. 246.5 yards for Brock Purdy. I think that's an over.
I think it's an under for myself.
Under. Kevin's got 3. Kevin's gone under.
And I'm going over.
And you and I are both gone over. This has slaughter written all over it.
No.
Receiving yards. Okay, this is a big one. Travis Swift. He has 71.5 total yards. That to me is
75.
71.5. I have learned my lesson on the player props for Kansas City. Mahomes is going to throw to him 79 times.
I have the over on Kelsey.
Yes.
Because, listen, 11 receptions for 86 yards and 7 first downs.
11 targets?
Well, he had 11 last week and had 11 receptions.
Yes. Yeah. So, I'm saying it was 11 out of 11, right?
Against a zone defense, he's going to find the nook and cranny and guess he's going to be able to buy some time to get it to him. Now, that's understood by Kyle and them boys way more than it is in us in this basement. But I'm just telling you this.
Try to stop him.
You can't. There's some other dudes you're going to take. If you're going to play enough zone defense, you can't just fully take them away. You can only bracket them and hope the best. And they got Andy Reid scheming Travis Kelce up right now. Just saying they're going to get him open a few times.
The whole idea of bracketing and taking and minimizing the damage that Kelce can do to you is a double-edged sword because it results because Mahomes is so good and Kelce is so good and he is that if you're going to give him 4 or 5 yards at a clip, they'll just do a 14-play 8.5-minute drive.
Exactly.
And that kills you.
And Pat Mahomes, well, it's like entering the pass to a big man. Pat Mahomes is going to find the angle. He's going to fake low, go high. He's going to stick it somewhere. He can do whatever he wants. I mean, the only thing he can't do is get his dad a goddamn personal driver.
He was doing interviews. The fact that
just let old man.
He was all over everything, and then the next day I was like, oh no, Pat Mahomes
I'm
Senior.
just saying,
and it's tough.
You got $450 million contract. Dad gets a driver.
Drive your dad around. It's not his first DWI. That's the problem.
Some people are saying it's his 6th. Now here's the deal.
Yeah.
At this point, it's just the fact. It's just have a driver. Tell him to go everywhere with him for how much? What would it cost you guys to be Pat Mahomes Senior's personal driver for 1 year out of your life? $250,000.
Oh, sure.
But you have to wake up at 3 a.m. and go you got to go do that shit.
No problem.
No, he's like, I'm peeing all over the place. I just fell down. Where are you? He's going to have a.
I'll put the weather tech or whatever,
He's earned
all
it.
over the car.
I mean, but just say it.
You're 71.5? Over. Okay. All right. So he has earned it. And there's levels now. It's like Kramer levels. All of the millionaire athletes and celebrities, they should never be driving at all ever because it's just the dumbest thing. But the immediate circle around them should also never have to drive ever again. Deebo Samuel, 59.5 receiving yards.
Under.
Of course, why wouldn't you? You're like the Grinch that stole the Super Bowl.
You're a mean one. The Super Bowl always gives me a mean one. Sorry.
59.5. I'm going to say over because I've only said over so far.
I think he's banged up. I'm going to go under.
Okay. Now, we're going to do a quick...
59.5 that was?
Yeah, 59.5.
Thank you.
George Kittle, 47.5.
Over.
See, the deal with the tight end is one seam route for 27 yards sets you up for success, and that can possibly happen.
Yeah.
Kittle can be quiet. I'm going under. I'm sticking with the under.
That's my
Kittle
first under. My second under of the year.
What's that number?
47.5. My first under of the year was Christian Watson in the playoff game where Dobbs just blew up because Watson was a decoy. Because I think Brandon Ayuk has a game. Hint, hint, hint. 63.5. Let me put my O takes the square answer. 69.5 for Brandon Ayuk. If you think Deebo Samuel is banged up, you got to take the over there.
I'm taking the over there because Ayuk is a force to be dealt with, and they're going to draw up some. Because what offenses, Kyle, really like to run? What are we going to talking about having around here? What's going on? Yes. Big chunk, huge plays, and Ayuk has been a beast at him, and they rely on him for him.
And they run the levels.
And then you talked us into Debo being banged up, but Juwan Johnson, they got dudes that can fly down that field, but this guy he can make plays. Ayuk has been a stud.
33.5 yards receiving for Christian McCaffrey. I'm going over.
Yeah, I'm going over. That screen game is filthy. He
I think
can do that.
over,
He can do that on his first reception.
And he's one of the best slot receivers in the league.
There's no doubt about it.
All right, so we're all over there. Let's see. Here's Rashee Rice. I wouldn't otherwise put him down here, but 67.5. That's an under for me.
Yeah, under.
By the way, he's special, and they're going to get chunks with him. It's just a matter of how many times. So you're going under too.
Yep.
Kev.
I'm going with the over.
Yeah, damn it.
He is the only guy that I believe in tandem with Kelsey can be the yin yang over under.
I'm going to hate losing that bet to you.
Dig post.
All right, so I'm going to go back through some of these guys and give you some receptions. So Travis Kelce, 6.5 catches.
I got the over.
Over.
Everyone's going over. Deebo Samuel, 4.5 receptions.
Ooh. God, that's a really tough
Under.
one. I had him all year long, and I'm going under because that's what happened all year long.
I'm going under.
That's
3
a
unders.
tough one, though. That's a tough one. They like to throw that little quick to him. You know, that there could be the wrong read. That's a cool bet, though. I like that one. That's a fun one.
George Kittle, 3.5. I'm over.
Over.
I'm under.
All right. Brandon Ayuk, 4.5. I'm over.
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 Overs all the way through. CMC, 4.5. I'm over.
It's another crazy one. I got to go over. If I'm going 33.5, 4.5.
First Super Bowl for Christian McCaffrey, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah.
Players like Christian McCaffrey and Travis Kelce. Yeah, I think we're all overs. That's a quick comment on Christian McCaffrey. He came into the league as a top prospect. He showed it right away. He's gotten paid as a running back in the way guys haven't, and he's backed it up. He has had some injury issues. Guys like him, specifically, when they get into the Super Bowl, it could be the last game he ever plays. I think he'll play that hard. He could literally destroy himself getting every single solitary thing in this game, and there's no resting Christian McCaffrey. And all season long, the only thing you want to do is use Christian McCaffrey as much as possible and not kill Christian McCaffrey. But in the Super Bowl, if the gloves are off and you can call any play you want, he's the guy.
Do you know how many plays they're going to call?
He's the guy.
That the ball is going to be handed to him. When Kyle Shanahan was dreaming about being a coach and had this offense and was thinking, if only we could have this guy at this position, be able to do this, and that. It was him. It was always him. And how their families have that weird relationship and how it's all come back to freaking Northern California. It's bonkers. And it's going to be very interesting to see if that story is ruined by a man who's overcome every distraction known to man. Pat Mahomes. Annoying wife, annoying brother, thirsty father. He just keeps on overcoming. Like they can't stop him. He never backs down.
He's a consumer.
I just gave a ton of shit to the greatest kicker, nicest guy, humanitarian of all time, but no one even cares. Justin Tucker's like, hey dude, what's
good.
going on? Your brother's a dick.
Your brother's a dick.
Your wife's kind of a dick.
God, I had a front row seat to that guy when we played Kansas City one
Why'd
year.
your dad? What?
So bad.
Get your dad a driver, bitch.
Christian McCaffrey, 18.5 carries.
Under.
Oh, I'm over.
I'm going with the over. Let Big Trent help this team win this game. And like you said, Elijah doesn't get a ton of touches until Christian got nicked up. He's a big horse, but I can imagine Kyle Shanahan has 400 plays drawn up for Christian McCaffrey. He's only going to get to run how many?
91.5 rushing yards. C-Mac.
I got to go over with it.
I'm over. This is
the weapon. I think it's going to be him with shots downfield with Ayuk, and hope that Kittle gets doesn't have a great day.
I'm gonna go under.
Okay. That puts Christian McCaffrey at an over-under for 130.5 rushing and receiving yards. Now, the only reason why I'm making this an additional bet is because I'm buying into the same thing you're buying into, and we're all buying into, is that you're not going home with a rested Christian McCaffrey. And if this is the one game where you get to put the best player on the field, arguably one of the best 2 or 3 players in the league, in a situation where you're gonna, it's like you're basically playing a game of Madden. Like you're gonna run him until something happens.
And if they had a prop bet for how many times they will run left behind Trent Williams, I would like to know what that number was, because, sir, that man has given everything he's got to this game, to this sport, and I believe he's the premier left tackle of his generation.
Still the
He's
best.
A first ballot Hall of Famer.
First ballot.
And one of the greatest football players these eyes have ever witnessed. I can't imagine that C-Mac doesn't get that ball heading left. And screen game, anything you can do.
So I'm 130.5 over. So right now we have 33.5 receiving yards and 91.5 rushing yards, which is 125. So you're basically buying an extra 5 yards here, and you're saying one's more than the other, and I'm over on that.
I'm under.
Yep. There he is. Okay.
He's heard enough of this hype.
All right, let's get away from. We're going to get away from Christian McCaffrey.
Let me just say real quick.
Yep.
The number one bet I saw today, and number one bet placed, 99% of the money is on the over for Brock Purdy, 11 rushing yards. Have you seen this?
So that's
Is that
right
a scam?
around. Yeah, no. So
is this a joke?
When they
Get
first
that on one run.
Yeah, so
Sure,
when
but-
you first started seeing quarterback rushing yard prop bets, so for us in Maryland, sports betting became legal last year, or years plus ish ago, 1 or 2 years ago. Other places had it first, but the standard prop bet, as the betting public grew into a big dumb blob of bettors, the standard was right around that 11 yards. And what basically that is saying is that is either going to get one scramble for, and it's crazy that one scramble that you see on a weekly basis is generally speaking about 9.5 to 10.5 yards. I shit you not. The one squirt out to the left or the right to get to a first down on 2nd and 10, or
I've seen Purdy squirt.
He
quite
can
a
get
bit.
it. So that basically what they're saying is 2 yards. So you're taking it.
I have not ever witnessed this as a man.
That sounds like a manual release story. So all right. So Brock Purdy on the rushing yards.
Do you say Emmanuel release?
Brock Purdy, it's 12.5 right now.
Never mind. I got weird there for a second. Is that a church song?
Well, it's kind of like Tuesday church. Brock Purdy, 12.5
It's more
rushing
like
yards.
behind the church. Brock Purdy, how many?
12.5.
Over.
Over for T.
I'm going over. 99% of the money was on the over on 11. 99% of the
moved
money.
up.
It's moved up.
It's moved up.
I mean,
all right.
we'll all witness that one.
All right.
By
so
the way, sack yards do not count against personal rushing yards
Correct.
in the NFL. It's against team. So,
but you know what does count? Kneel downs at the end.
Scrumptious ones, yeah.
Yeah, that stinks. I'll join. I don't want to lose to Brock Purdy rushing yards. Patrick Mahomes, 25.5 rushing yards.
I'm going to take the over. He's going to have to make some plays with his feet when Mr. Bosa makes his presence in the backfield known.
Over.
And
Yeah, I'm
he's
going
pretty
over.
damn good at staying in the pocket and making that play. But it's that one little 30-yard run. All of this is so difficult.
Isaiah Pacheco,
Is that how we're pronouncing it?
That's my boy.
15.5. carries.
I don't even fucking know.
15.5 carries.
I'm going over.
I'm going under. That sounds ridiculous.
I'll go under.
If they're throwing the ball to Travis Kelce for 4 to 6 yards at a clip for a while, then Pacheco's definitely getting. And I
At
said it
this
differently
part,
that
the
time.
metrics are starting to blend into my forehead.
I know. Rushing yards for Pacheco, 67.5.
I think it's Pacheco.
I'm just saying it differently every time. I said Pacheco.
Pacheco.
Pacheco. It's
Under.
It's Isaiah. Under for T.
I mean, shit. I got to go under. You never know, Andy.
Ooh, we have a chance. Under. Okay, under. All right. And let's see. Defensive props. All right. Does Bosa get a sack?
Yes.
Bosa sack. Yes.
One.
Yes.
Sack. I'm not saying he's going to go out there.
Even a half a sack counts.
Yeah.
Chase Young sack.
Yes.
Yeah. Rhett goaded me into that one. I love how everyone around here thinks he's just like all of a sudden. I'm not saying Rhett thinks this. Like he's a horrible football player. He's a bust. I heard the junkies call him a bust today.
He's
I'm
not
like,
a bust.
I'm not
I'm
sure
saying
if you guys
no.
understand.
I'm betting no.
How defense is played. Anyways, yes.
Chris Jones.
They want you to have 1 million
sack.
sacks. Chris Jones. You know what?
I'm saying no.
I'm going to say no either because he's not about that sack.
Nope.
No.
He can get a sack.
No, but he's not known for his sack so much.
All right, that's a wash. No one's getting anything there.
Ew.
We're washing the sack. Wash on the sack there. Okay, interceptions. There's nothing really exciting there. So let's move on to okay. I like this, and you guys might not like this.
That means that
Jake Moody and Harrison Butker are both at 7.5 points, total points for the Super Bowl. So instead of betting on each one, which to me is
extra points are inclusive.
extra points matter.
Yeah, it's an easy
So
one for me.
I'm going to go
That's
with the
an
over-under
over.
of Jake Moody or Harrison Butker. So since they're both
Oh, it's not combined. They're separately at 7.
separately at 7.5, so I don't think it's fun to bet
That's a
on each.
dick bet. Yeah,
Yep.
that's like
So it's 2 bets.
No, one bet. Which kicker scores more points, Moody or Butker?
Oh. I'll go with Butker.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I know. This is where we get into. I mean, you felt more confident about the coin toss.
You've chosen Casey to win.
I know, but had Butker
And Moody
all
is-
year long, and he scored like
Moody has
Butkus-
missed a field goal in every.
He's the guy that has like
postseason game.
one game with like 25, and then 4 weeks with like 2. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just how that Kansas City offense goes. If Mahomes is clicking, Butker can go sit his ass on the goddamn bench.
And they're playing on a soft field this week in practice.
But if they score 5 touchdowns, he only needs 1 field goal. So I'm going to take the over
No, it needs 4.
No, not the over.
on Butker. I'm going.
You're
KC.
going. You're going Butker.
I'm going Butker.
All right. I guess since I picked San Fran, I got to go Moody. I don't think it's a great call, but I feel like I'm. All right. So tiebreaker. Tiebreaker is total points in the game. I'm sorry. Total points. Total points in the game. Closest.
That's the typical
Price is Right
tiebreaker.
rules.
I like Price is Right rules. It just delineates which way you have to edge.
Price is Right rules.
I've never said that sentence. I hope
It's
I
all
never
about the
say it
rules.
again.
All right. Bottom out if you can. I'm going to say 48.
I'm going to go 45.
45.
I'm going to go 49.
Oh, what a dick. What a dick.
All you had to say was 1.
All you had to say was one.
I didn't want to do the
$1.
dollar.
You got to
I
do the
wouldn't
dollar, dude. You got to do
I think
the
it's going to be a
dollar.
high-scoring game.
It's my own fault for saying 48 first. By the way, that's my move, and I respect it so much. I have no problem with it. I love it.
They set it at 47 and a half.
I know, but it's not going to be 48. I thought you were going to go $1, and I was wrong. All right.
Can I just say one thing before I forget?
Yeah, please.
There's nothing I enjoy.
Just one thing?
There's nothing I enjoy more than drinking hard shit with some good people. Yeah,
There you go. Well, I mean, mine's
The DC. We got the DC in the house.
the DC. It was the DC. It was my favorite. It was my favorite part of it all. I just liked that he felt that he had to say it because he wanted to. He did. He liked it.
JT?
No, Dan Quinn.
Oh, Dan Quinn. Sorry,
Said
for a
that-
second I thought we were talking about John.
He said there's nothing I enjoy more in this world than doing hard shit with good people.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And you know what? That's what his job is. You are you are not getting a second contract. Only one man and around here has in a million years. All right, sorry, two.
Yep.
I guess Joe Jackson.
JJG.
Well, he can have whatever he wants. Anyways,
Anything.
that's it. That was my only point.
Final thoughts?
No, none. I'm blanked.
They don't go on the best
Totally
color man in
blanked.
the business for nothing, folks.
Got nothing. No, man. I mean, looking forward to the
I know.
forward to the Super Bowl. Hey, happy birthday!
I watched Major
John
League recently.
Tier.
I'm sorry.
It was an awesome party this
Yeah,
weekend.
JT. I thought
Great
for a second
seeing
I
a lot of
was just in
people.
that mode.
Great seeing people we see all the time, but also
Yeah.
great seeing people we haven't seen in a while.
Hell yeah.
Well, it's a great crowd
Hope you're
It's like
feeling
a-
better today, buddy.
vibe.
And a great man brings great culture. And
Yes.
that's all that guy has done. And yeah, it was nice. It was a hopeful. Hopefully, we can get together for a game like we all used to with that same group of folks.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about Sergio and Brendan. That reminds me of many, many Super Bowl celebrations when we'd roll over to the Tiers house to celebrate winning a world championship.
I like that too.
Michael Irvin. Thank you guys for hanging out with us on another
To
Tuesday
each
night.
their own. Yes.
We'll be back next Tuesday night to talk about the Super Bowl, but also to get fully underway with the draft.
And our road to the Super Bowl. How we get
Our
there.
road, the
That's
off
what we're gonna
season,
talk
the off
about.
season, truly on the brink of greatness. It's post everyone else. Everybody's off season will have officially begun. We can get rid of regular season stuff, and it's going to be hurtful, and we're going to be withdrawal, and it's going to be tough. No football, but the draft comes into full focus. Free agency comes into full focus. Our organization is all set at where it needs to be set for being fully focused.
Recalibrated.
For being recalibrated. I know.
There's about to be some cool ass hires on the horizon as well.
I'm some cool ass hires on the horizon.
Jason Simmons.
Yes, that's
Joe
a good
White,
name.
Joe White's boy
Yes.
in Green Bay for the whole time. They went apart. Defensive passing game coordinator out in Vegas. Sorry, Antonio, but we're about to get another one from you.
By the way, I love that Antonio got that job.
Me too.
I'm so happy about it.
Me too.
It's the right. It was not just the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do.
Yeah, no, and we loved him here because he brought class and passion to a position that we hadn't had in forever. So.
Those guys played for him, and they're not. They're a couple players away. They have some dudes.
Yeah, but give us that defensive passing game coordinator.
Yeah.
It's Joe Witt's boy. They're tight, and they won 1 million games together in Green Bay, and it's pretty badass.
It's gonna be fun. Those names are coming.
Also, Dan
Things are
Quinn,
getting formed up.
Dan Quinn, coach Chris Jenkins' son. So keep an
That's
eye
cool.
on that. His father, I meant.
His
well,
father.
whichever.
His father.
Yes,
Yes.
father at the NFL level, and you know how he's best friends with everyone. So
Yes.
obviously that's what Chris Jenkins. Is. You heard that here first. I don't know if anyone's gonna ever remember it.
I'll remember
That's
it.
happening.
I'll remember
That's
it.
going to happen.
Benjamin said, Chris Jenkins' father, his roommate's next door neighbor is.
Someday we'll find out Benjamin's hollowed out, and there's some weird shit up inside there.
I hope so. It's been a long time. He's been sitting in that corner for a while. We'll see you guys next Tuesday night. Free agency and the draft, front and center. We'll begin with a legitimate segment. I think the healthiest thing to do for us is to say we're going to do a Caleb, because Caleb's going to dominate things for a while, and that's okay. We're not above being
He's been dominating things forever.
yes.
You guys
So-
know how much I love him, but
Yeah, so let's have a little Caleb time, and we'll carve it around some other stuff. But we've never shied away from the topic du jour, and that's going to be the topic du jour for quite some time. So let's du jour it up. It's DiGiorno. It's going to be DiGiorno on a weekly basis. It's not delivery.
End it. End it
DiGiorno.
now. End it.
Dude. You're just
End it.
You're not getting manually released again, no matter how fast this show ends. That I'm aware of.
Ever?
All right, Rhett disagrees in the corner. He's been lubing up for the last hour. Please.
It's only a 3-round fight,
Yeah, for
Brad.
goodness sake. I mean, you're more lubed than man at this point in time, which is insane. All right, we love you guys.
Let's call it a draw.
I'm Ken Meringolo on behalf of First Amendment Sports. This was Thank God It's Tuesday. We appreciate your subscriptions and thumbs. See you in a week. We're still live.
Ding.
Ding, ding. No, as the thumbs come rolling in, it's all thumbs. The muffler bowl. I don't know. I'm Greg was really getting after it there at the
I
end.
know. I give a thumbs up for the Muffer Bowl.
NES.
Oh, I wonder if there's a prop bet on whether there'll be a muffed punt.
Dude, there is. There's a prop bet on everything.
What are the odds on a fruit basket?
We didn't do so we're still on the air or we're still live. So here, how about this? Taylor Swift, we got to do it. Camera, Taylor Swift on camera.
Thick ass 6.5.
A thick ass 6.5. Yeah, let's see what the market. That's, I think. Well, how define thick ass? I'm gonna say so. Taylor Swift, Super Bowl on cam appearances. I think you're getting. I think it's too much. I think it's going to be closer to 4 or 4.5.
Oh, if
You're giving him too much?
No, yeah, I think that the line is going to be less than 6.
I think the line might be double digits.
Why you can't bet on Taylor Swift props? Of course you can.
You might not be able to.
Darren Bros BBQ, what's up, Greg? Anybody know the Taylor Swift over under? We're still live. Have we ever gone back to camera after we've been still live? I don't think we have.
For Taylor Swift?
We just did for T.
Oh my God,
Yes,
dude.
yes.
T,
Okay.
somebody pull their pants up. Jesus.
All right, let's just say it's.
Rhett, get in there.
Let's just say let's call it. Let's give ourselves a chance for a push. And there's a website I think that's called. There's a website for that, and for the official number .fm.
Sir, if
Okay.
any of you would not like to be on the list, don't look for said website.
This was a super sneaky.
This is a dark web.
Okay,
Ken's
Address.
driven me down the wrong road only once or twice, but
6 is your. We're just gonna throw out numbers. 6 is your number.
I said
6. You said a thick ass 6.
6.5.
6. Well, so it's got to be 6 or 7.
I know.
What do you want?
7.
All right, smart.
I rounded up.
I'm saying 8. What do you got?
No.
No! I should, dude. I literally knew in my head. I was like, I knew. Don't go last. I knew it. I even thought I was like, oh, I'm gonna be smarter than everyone
You
else.
went
I'm
back
gonna do
to
it.
live after we went on live. Like, you just can't resuscitate a show and expect to have a happy
You
ending.
just don't get smarter as the show goes on. As I think the scientists have proven.
Post game counts.
You sound like the Redskins fan base trying to hire a coach right now.
I
I
just
know.
got
I know who we think
freaking-
we're supposed to know.
Muff Broncoed by T on 2 straight bets.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you on Tuesday night next week. And T will have won something, and we'll determine what that is amongst ourselves. See ya.
I think you lost.
Did you say Muff Bronco?
I did.
That's what he calls when he walks by me and drags Charlie off the back of
Let's
my
go.
right and
Let's
left
get off
love handle
camera.
and my
Ew.
spinal.
It's a Brittany Griner mushroom bruise scenario.
Not the caramel dong wash.
The
is it?
caramel dong wash
If that footage ever gets listened
should
to.
have been.